Welcome to the Pigskin Party Podcast, the only podcast that combines real NFL analysis with a splash of pop culture and a dash of the random. Let's get this Pigskin Party started with your hosts, Brian McFadden and Will Southard.
Welcome to the PPP. My name is Brian. You are listening to the NFL episode. Please make sure to stay tuned for our Flavor of the Week episode, which will drop in a couple days. Please subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast, whether it's an actual audio podcast or if you're checking us out on YouTube. Hit the like button, make sure to hit subscribe, and make sure to leave your comments about how annoyed you are at Will and why his video looks terrible because he's in yet another murdery hotel room. Will Southard, joining me as always from Alabama?
Sweet home, Alabama. This is what I do, man. I do it on the road. I got my ominous lighting here, projecting shadows that give me eyeshadow. I look amazing, if I might do say myself.
You look like a serial killer, and I'm a little worried for anyone in your immediate vicinity. So you're on a work trip. Are you ready to talk NFL, though? Are you in the right mindset?
A lot of news, man. A lot of news about today. It was a good NFL news day and week. I say we have a lot of the ammunitions to talk about.
We do. We got multiple things to talk about. And so to do that, we've got multiple guests. We need a lot of voices to talk about all the stuff that's going on. So the first guest we're going to bring in is the co-host of the Broncos Brawl podcast, a podcast that I not only subscribe to, but listen to regularly, Lindsay Bebout. Welcome to the PPP. How you doing?
I'm good. You keep saying PPP, and it's getting me excited for when we do the next episode, because all I keep thinking is PCP.
Oh, so that didn't take long.
No.
Now we've got drug references.
It's a reference to one of the topics we're gonna. I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay, fair enough. A little teaser for the Flavor of the Week episode.
But I'm like trying to hold it together when you say that.
Well, we know that you're a Broncos.
To be fair, every time Brian mentions his PP, it gets me excited too.
He loves it when I talk about the Twitter handle, which is official PP Pod.
I love that.
I do that just for Will. So, Lindsay, obviously, I know that you're a Broncos fan, but you're knowledgeable about the NFL as a whole. Ever since I came across your podcast, I've been super excited, and I think pretty early on, I was like, you got to come on the show. So, how you feel? You ready to do some NFL talk?
Oh, I'm so excited. And this topic, a little teaser. I won't give any spoilers, but it's perfect because your other co-host is the host. I'm sorry, co-host. Your other guest is the co-host of, what's the name again? I don't want to mess this up.
So let's go ahead and bring it in. Thank you for the segue. Neal,
there you go.
with one of the coolest last names, whether it's legit or not, that's for another podcast. Neal Thrailkill from the Two Tight Ends podcast. Neal, welcome to the PPP. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here. We've been talking for a couple months now to get on this podcast, and I'm just excited, man. It's a fun time.
So is that your actual real last name?
It is. I would show you my driver's license, but I don't really want that on recording. So
just show your credit card instead.
Yeah. My social security number. We'll get there.
Exactly.
Yeah, make sure to flip over so you get the CCV, all that stuff, so that Will can buy more silly hats for the show using your credit card.
We'll add it. We'll put my zip code right there too. Mm-hmm.
So as Lindsay had started to tease, we are still doing our weekly team dive. This week, we're going to preview the football team, the aptly named Washington football team. And though Lindsay is a fan of the Broncos, Neal is indeed a lifelong fan of Washington.
Oh my God.
Do you think you can handle talking about the football team on this episode, Neal?
Handle it, yes. I mean, all my misery is already there, so...
You've built your soul is maybe a little dead inside, so you're pervious to the what is Washington these days. But hey, I think things are looking up. Hey, you guys made the playoffs, and neither the Broncos or the Dolphins did. So
that's true.
You have that going
for you. In the worst division in the league, we made it.
I've totally forgot about that. I was doing my prep before, and I was like, wow, they have less yards than the Broncos. They're below in all these rankings. Totally forgot that they made the playoffs.
And almost beat the eventual Super Bowl champs. They were closer than any of the other teams.
No.
They were close.
They did not almost beat anything.
Taylor Heineke did a better job than any of the other teams.
He is in Washington sports history now.
Yes. He's got his own little Hall of Fame. So we do, as we talked about, we have a lot to get to because it was a big week and a big day in the NFL. So let's go ahead and jump in and start talking about the news first. The news of the day, J.J. Watt is no longer a free agent. He has signed with a team that I said, what? Really? There wasn't even in our prediction. I don't even think we threw them as a possibility. So he has signed with the Arizona Cardinals. He signed a 2-year deal for $31 million, with $23 million of that guaranteed. He joins former teammate DeAndre Hopkins. Was that you, Will, making some burping noise?
No, it was pain. It was just pain. $23 million guaranteed. The dude's gonna go down in the first 4 seconds of next year, and then first of all, I don't wish that on him. By the way, anybody's a JJ Watt fan, sorry. I'm a JJ Watt.
Will has tried to put that curse out into the universe. So if JJ gets injured, it's Will's fault.
Wait, Will, can you remind me who's your team?
I don't listen. I'm
no,
a fan
please
of the sport.
don't cue him up.
I'm a fan of the sport. Listen, someone who hosts a Broncos show every week.
Fan of the sport.
No, this is the thing: is the guarantee is just somebody had to pay him, right? I mean, he's that kind of dude. He's gonna get money. The Cardinals, here's the thing: if you got the money, spend it, right? It's 2 years. It's not like a 5-year deal, right? So I mean, it's not that bad, but the guarantee is just brutal. And I'm sure that was his biggest thing, right? Contracts in the NFL. I mean, much to the benefit of players are moving towards more guaranteed money, but it's a hell of a lot of guaranteed money, man.
And that's specifically what I want to talk about with regards to this. Obviously, it's a surprise that he signed with Arizona. We speculated on this podcast, but it was also all over Twitter and reported that he was most likely going to chase a Lombardi trophy, right? So he go back to Green Bay. He grew up in Wisconsin, went to college in Wisconsin, joined his brothers in Pittsburgh and that great defense, go to Cleveland, Buffalo. These are all teams that were thrown around, actual contenders. And I, for one, thought he would take a little bit less money and play for a team that could, not that the Cardinals couldn't contend, but they're not on the scale of some of these other teams. So Neal, I want to start with you on this. Do you really think it was all about the money in the end and he just signed with the team that paid him the most?
I think that was a big thing because, like you said, the sentiment not only that you thought, but everybody thought going around was, he was going to take a pay cut. He wants the ring chase. Why wouldn't you at this point in his career? So I was, like you said, I was shocked when I saw the Cardinals. I mean, I don't think their team has been floating around in regards to JJ Watt. But I guess when that number came out, it was obviously the Steelers aren't going to have enough to pay him. The Packers probably don't have enough to pay him. So if he was willing to get that much.
Cleveland had some space though. That's one of the teams. Buffalo is a little tight too, but Cleveland, who just was one drive away from possibly beating the Chiefs and moving on to the AFC Championship.
I'm gonna pull up a tweet because I should have screenshot it. I saw one where they talked about the other teams that actually offered more money, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I do know tennis. Yeah.
Who do you think had the better Buffalo Bills career, Antonio Brown or JJ Watt?
What is that even supposed to mean?
They both got sent to the Bills before the deals were actually done, if you remember.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. But no, I heard Antonio Brown, they had a deal in place, and AB said no.
Exactly.
That's a little different than JJ was more people were kind of placing him there.
So
and there was a tweet.
That was my guess. I was going to guess the Bills. If you gun to my head, that's
yes,
what my
same.
guess was.
I was leaning towards Buffalo. He actually, this ended up being false, but earlier today, Field Yates posted a picture of a Peloton bio.
Yeah.
This was a picture of JJ Watt that had 3 teams underneath it: Green Bay, Buffalo, and Cleveland. And it actually, if you look closely, and I didn't catch it, it said KJ Watt. So JJ Watt tweets I don't even own a bike. Yeah. So then there's all these people I
was the idiot who was guys, look. And
no, I did too.
Real.
I retweeted it.
Okay.
I said something this is the age that we're in, that we have to go to Peloton bios for scoops.
So the tweet was by John Badoro. I don't know who he is, but it looks like he works for an Arizona sports radio station. He said the deal JJ Watt signed with the Cardinals was not the most he was offered. The Cleveland Browns and Indianapolis Colts each offered more money. Tennessee's offer was very similar, which maybe not the Colts since we don't know their quarterback situation, but the Browns and the Titans have a very good chance of winning next year. So
both playoff teams.
Yeah.
Colts were a playoff team with Phillip Rivers, so yeah.
Yeah, but Phillip Rivers is gone. We don't know what the quarterback situation will be next year.
It doesn't feel like a very signing JJ Watt is what you do if you're the Bucks, right? You just want names and you just want to go play for a Super Bowl. that does not strike me as the Cardinals. The Cardinals, like, young talent. They don't have a bunch of, like, old dudes that are just, like, names that you would recognize in fantasy. Like that's like this is the equivalent of signing, like, a defensive Adrian Peterson. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
He's not that old yet. I mean, he can still wreck a game. Actually,
his body is.
They played. Who did they play in the? It was the Lions, I think, in the game, the Thanksgiving game this year, where Watt just took over. He had like an interception, and so he doesn't do it consistently, and he's still injuries are a question, but he's not like some washed up player. He can still make a difference on the defense.
My point is that, like, it doesn't seem like it's a Cardinals move, right? Like. And I guess it's the thing, if you got the money, whatever, but like teams that are like the Dolphins wouldn't sign JJ Watt, right? Like it's not like a very build for the future, build young, kind of thing. Like if they need like an injection of leadership and like you really need the position, okay, but it's just it's a little odd.
Well, so let's talk about it with regards to Arizona. Lindsay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I saw this tweet too, and this is nobody famous. So to recap, and I had completely forgotten about the whole DeAndre Hopkins situation. So to recap, Texans essentially gave up DeAndre Hopkins and J.J. Watt for David Johnson and a second. Still cannot fathom letting J.J. walk for free and getting nothing in return when you're in the middle of a complete rebuild. Like, insanity. Yeah. But
now, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I think this should, like, any 1% of Deshaun staying is now gone.
Oh, yeah, no. And
completely out the door.
Something with Arizona that I don't know their owner, I don't know their coaches that well, but I always, when it comes to signings like this, I always wonder how much did the owner have a hand in it? Because if I own the team, who, and I send JJ Watt, whose jerseys are going to sell like hotcakes? JJ Watt. So, I don't know, like, I know for the Broncos, Pat Bowlen, like, that's not, he wants to win, and he's always been a let's win coach. A let's win owner. I don't know the Arizona's owner, so that's something that also I think about.
Well, they brought in Cliff Kingsbury out of college. That's not going to sell tickets. They brought in Kyler Murray after drafting Josh Rosen the year before. Neal, what are your thoughts on this from the Arizona standpoint?
Well, first, I got to tell you guys, I actually live in Arizona, just moved out here, so I'm excited to maybe see him in that
cool.
red.
Are you near Glendale? Like,
no,
Phoenix
actually,
area?
I'm on the other side of Phoenix, so I have to drive like an hour to go get to the stadium.
That'll be worth it, though.
Yeah, it won't be too bad. But for Arizona, I think it's pretty good because he doesn't have to be the guy, right? Like Chandler Jones is on the other side. You can let him be the guy. He had
Hassan Reddick had a great season.
Exactly. But Chandler Jones had 19 sacks 2 years ago. He was injured last year. But with JJ Watt, I mean, I saw a stat. I think Field Yates actually tweeted it. Since 2012, Chandler Jones and JJ Watt are the top sack
1 and 2
getters in the league. And that's
that's
scary. And
sack getters.
That's my nickname in college. My nickname in college was the sack getter.
It was not a compliment, just so you know, Will.
He took it as one, though. He took it as one.
Of course he did. So I'm agreeing with you on this, Neal. I think if you... So I also read that the Arizona fully intends to keep its free agents. So Patrick Peterson is a free agent. Hassan Reddick is a free agent. And their idea is bringing in someone like JJ is a statement like, hey, we're bringing in this guy. We mean business. Stick around in Arizona. But let's say they do. Let's say they keep Patrick Peterson. Let's say they keep Hassan Reddick. Chandler Jones comes back, healthy and plays at least, even if he's half as good as he was in 2019. That's 10, 11 sacks right there. And you got J.J. Watt. That can be a mean defense.
Don't they still have Budda Baker, right?
Budda Baker, right? Exactly. Pro Bowl safety, absolutely.
I think they need a little more help on the corner with Patrick Peterson. He looks like he kind of may have lost a step.
He's not as good as a prime, but he's still a solid corner in that.
True.
Yeah.
But there's also some rumors going around that he was trying to get a trade and stuff. So I don't know if that relationship is still intact.
Well, Broncos Twitter keeps talking about, we could get Patrick Peterson. I'm like, I don't see that happening.
Maybe you could get a quarterback first.
Okay.
In fairness, I'm not a Drew Lock fan either, but we're not. This is not the Broncos deep dive. We won't go into that. We'll bring Lindsay on a different episode to talk about that. So let's move on. I know. I would have rather had Lindsay. That was before I knew. This was like the second or third deep dive.
No, wait,
Well,
Lindsay, wait.
We became friends literally like a week after you guys did it.
Well, listen.
What?
To be fair, if you listen to my critique of the Broncos in previous episodes, one of the things I said was they have an amazing cast of offensive talent. And and Jerry
Tim
Jeudy
Patrick didn't drop a ball.
and Patrick and Jerry Jeudy. Patrick, where is the Patrick from?
I just messed you up.
Tim
Tim
Patrick. Yeah.
I mean, Cortland and Jerry Jeudy was probably one of the steals of like recent drafts, going at, I believe, number 11. So I did not talk crap about your Broncos, by the way, and I'm also a big Von Miller fan, despite his recent.
If he's going to be on the team, but
he proposed to me once.
Like
what?
To get married or
okay,
we have
to hear this.
Do you want to hear about
share
this?
the story?
No.
Then.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I live in Orange County. So it's funny because now, so like the same distance the stadium is in LA is about the same distance it was for me in San Diego. But so my very, very first NFL game, I went to San Diego and I brought a big sign that said, Von Miller, will you marry me? And because the Chargers San Diego stadium was garbage, they just did not care because they knew they were going to be tearing it down. Tickets were so cheap. So my friend and I are in like the second row. And I brought this sign, and right at halftime, actually, so I would say right before halftime, the guy next to me goes, oh, hey, we were on TV, and my phone was on airplane mode because it was going to die. So first of all, I get on TV holding my Von Miller, will you marry me sign, which was cool enough. So then, at the start of halftime, Aqib Talib sees my sign, and he nudges Von Miller, and they point at me, and they're like, and I'm like, all right, that's fine. That's all I wanted. Whew! Well, right before the game ends, I see Von Miller looking at me. I was like, what is happening? And he gets a ball, and he signs it, and he runs over, and he got on one knee, and it said, will you marry me, Von Miller? Again, this is my first NFL game.
Go get it right now.
It's in I'll show you the poster when I stop talking. But here's the really cool part. So after the game is over, there was like a really long line to get on the train. So I was like, I don't know how this works. Maybe we can go meet the players. So we rush over to where they hang out after. And of course you need a pass. God knows, it still blows my mind. Some guy, I don't know him. I don't know his connection. He had extra. He goes, who wants these? And I'll take it. So I take one of the passes. I run straight for Von Miller. He signs my poster, and we take a photo, and then we won the Super Bowl that season.
Where'd the ball go?
It's over there in a case.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I'll show you the poster, but keep talking.
So as a summary, the Broncos won the Super Bowl only because Von Miller got married to Lindsay Bebout.
Exactly.
So let's...
They carried the corpse of Peyton Manning to that Super Bowl.
That's what gave Von Miller the strength to carry the corpse of Peyton Manning.
That's right.
All right, let's go ahead. I want to start talking about the next topic while Lindsay goes and gets her Von Miller memorabilia.
The best part
I don't want to spend too much time on this.
Hang on. The best part of our podcast, by the way, is that there's the sign. Check that out.
So for those just listening, Von Miller, will you marry me? She has the actual poster she brought to the Chargers Stadium. And it was very well done. The right colors, it's what stood out. I can see why he proposed back and you accepted.
The best part of our podcast is that we have visual aids every week that don't mean anything to people that actually listen. But it's an extra bonus if you watch this podcast on YouTube.
Exactly.
Correct. That's really what we're doing. Hey, we appreciate you listening, but if you want to watch our goofy faces and see us do crazy stuff, check out the YouTube.
I know.
So let's keep it.
I was going to say, when you told me YouTube, I was like, what? But now it worked out.
Now
so
it's worth it.
All worth
now
it.
I get it. Now
everybody can see how you got to marry Von Miller. Okay, moving on. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on this next topic, but it's something we at least have to mention. So we all remember Big Ben crying on the sidelines when he lost to Cleveland in the playoffs, which was glorious. And I'm not a Browns fan or a Steelers hater. I really liked that scene. Well, he is returning. So it has been announced by the team that he is not retiring, and that won't be his last game. His contract will need to be restructured. So I just want to go around the horn and ask quickly, Neal, we'll start with you on this. Do you think this is the right move? Big Ben didn't look great, especially in the second half of the season. And how should they address quarterback going forward for the future of the team?
Yeah, I think if they can restructure the contract to be able to get some more people in there, free up some cap space, I think it's a pretty good move. I think he's still good enough to lead a team, but they had no rushing attack last year. James Conner was in and out. Like, they had more problems than just him, and he still put up a pretty decent season. I mean, they were 11-0 at one point until some team beat them. But
which I predicted on this podcast, by the way. I picked Washington to win that game.
On my podcast the week before, I was like, there's a non-zero chance that the football team will beat them. But yeah, if they can restructure it, if everybody's good with that, then I think it is the right move. But I don't know. That's a lot of money that Roethlisberger might lose out on.
You know what
he claimed that the money isn't important, and he said before this happened, like, "Hey, I'll play for whatever. I just want to come back."
Yeah, I think his cap hit is like what? Yeah, here I have it up. It's $41 million.
It was in the 40s.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
that's
This year.
insane.
Well, you know what that explains though. Well, you know what they did. You know how you go to GameStop and for whatever weird reason they still have like the bin of PlayStation 2 games, and they don't have like the case, and it's like
for 99 cents.
It's like $1. Pretend that's
they're all scratched up anyways.
Pretend that's the quarterback pool, and that's who the Steelers signed in Dwayne Haskins to back up.
That's true. They got the perfect backup now. If
it's like, here's $41 million, here's $1. Like, screw it. If Ben dies, I guess we can throw Dwayne Haskins in there. Lindsay has an opinion about Dwayne Haskins.
I do, always. Well, no, I have an opinion about Ben Roethlisberger. So I look back to when the Broncos won the Super Bowl, right? We all know Peyton Manning was not the Peyton Manning we know he was. And the reason that he had previously been. And the reason we were able to win the Super Bowl is A, our defense was fire. And then B, what he couldn't physically do, his brain. So, like, if his body was a D, his brain was an A++++. And Ben Roethlisberger, he's great. He's really good, but he doesn't have, like, that high. And I'm not saying he's
no Peyton. No, but he's no
in
Peyton.
A league of his own. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, their brains, when it comes to football, are in a league of their own that it's worth it. With Ben Roethlisberger, I don't see it.
It's been Ben's physical skills that have gotten him to where has gotten. It's because his ability to evade rushers, his pocket presence, his ability to scramble, make throws on the run, and his arm strength. A lot of that stuff. He at one point in the season, he had the fastest release from snap to throw. Like, they were throwing the ball like an average depth of like 3 yards. Yeah. And even then his accuracy was off. So I get it. He's a legend. He's a future Hall of Famer. You bring him back if you can get him for the right price. I don't hate the Steelers for it, but I think they need to think about their quarterback future now. And I think we can all agree that it's not Dwayne Haskins.
Well, no.
And as somebody who had Peyton Manning and hasn't had a quarterback in 5 years, I can
try 20 years, Lindsay. Okay, I don't want to hear 5.
Hey, Lindsay, you know who else? You know who else is in a league of their own? Tom Hanks. Yeah,
and Gina Davis.
I thought you were
that's a great
Tom
movie.
Brady.
Blah, blah,
no, we already talked about that. No, see. Here's the thing: like the Steelers, I don't know what their quarterback plan is. It's weird. Like, you draft Josh Dobbs, who was awful. Everyone knew he was awful, but you still took a shot on him. Like, what did they see in Dwayne Haskins? Like,
Don't forget Duck Hodges
and Duck Hodges and
Mason Rudolph. I mean, come on.
Exactly. Like. Have a plan, like Roethlisberger. I mean, first of all, we can all agree that as soon as he gets like a little boo-boo on his knee, he's going to pull himself out of the game, right? Like, he does that. Yeah. So there's no guarantee that he's going to be okay, and I guess that's what they do with Haskins going forward.
He doesn't have Marquise Pouncey anymore snapping.
No, that's the other thing.
Line is not going to be as good.
A different center, makes a big deal for a quarterback. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have good receivers. Deontay Johnson was a great. I mean. They had some drop problems, but from a talent perspective, yes. So, I don't think Juju's there next season, but
even though he just came out and said that he's committed to the Steelers, but yeah,
did he really?
He did say that, but
good behavior. First.
Well, here's the thing: they're not going to offer him a great contract, so either they have to tag him or he goes somewhere else, and they're not going to franchise tag Juju. So they've got Chase Claypool. They've got Is that John? You're the one. Will has this thing where he knows all the actual names of NFL players they're not their real names. We need to do a segment for that. But let's move on.
So what's Duck Hodges' real name?
Well, Devlin. I know that.
No, I was asking Will. If he knew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I already answered that. All right. So there is something I do want to talk a little bit longer about, and that is another QB situation that I did not in any universe think we would be talking about, and that is actual Russell Wilson speculation. So everybody saw he attended the Super Bowl. He watched Tom Brady at 43. I hate that I have to mention it, but we got a whole season of Brady as a Super Bowl champion in Tampa Bay.
You've had a lot of seasons as Brady's a Super Bowl champion.
I know, which is why I don't want to do it anymore. I had to deal with it for 20 years as a Dolphins fan in the AFC East. Anyway, so you have Russell Wilson, who has won a single Super Bowl and another Super Bowl.
I don't know what you're talking about. He did not win any Super Bowls.
That's right, because she wants to erase that from her memory.
We don't.
We don't have to talk about who they beat. Let's just say they won a trophy, okay?
They also lost the Super Bowl.
I'll tell you who Russell Wilson didn't beat.
That was the next point.
Who Russell didn't beat was Malcolm Butler.
Yes. You guys don't even let me finish. That's what I was going to say. So the other Super Bowl, and this is actually what I'm tying this into. So the other Super Bowl that he lost was to Tom Brady. And then Tom Brady goes, we heard Will say it a million times, he switches conferences, switches teams, yada, yada. But he wins a Super Bowl behind a very stout offensive line with a team that surrounded him with weapons and the right play callers. And here Russell Wilson has had, I heard a stat, like he's had a top 10 offensive line once in the past 12 years, and it's generally bottom 5, bottom 8. He's used to, you saw that game, the playoff game against the Rams. He was just abused, right? So you got this quarterback who is already a Hall of Famer, and he wants to win again. He just signed a huge contract, and he feels like the Seahawks aren't doing enough to protect him. There's certainly, until the second half of the season, they've had defensive issues. They got some weapons. They got Lockett and they got Metcalf, but he's trying to take a stand. So let's go through the speculation, and I'll run around to everybody and get their thoughts. So an article came out in The Atlantic that the relationship with the Seahawks and Pete Carroll and his sons is frayed, and that it is not what it used to be. But so there's all this speculation going back and forth. But then his agent tweets, Russell has not asked for a trade. But if he did get traded, he would accept a trade to the Saints, the Raiders, the Cowboys, and the Bears. So to me, what that means is he wants a trade in some capacity.
If you're his agent, could you not just do 2 separate tweets at the very least?
I don't know. This is all. It's like Shakespearean theater.
Yeah.
So my take
I want to start with Lindsay on this. No, you're gonna wait, Will. We're letting the woman go first.
I was going to say winner, loser, loser, loser. That was my take on that.
Oh, for the teams? No. You come back and we'll talk about your opinion on the teams. Lindsay, what's your take on all this craziness with Russell Wilson?
So it's annoying to be a Broncos fan because there's already constant talk about Deshaun Watson, and now they're throwing in Russell Wilson. I'm like, he's not coming. Just stop. Why? I don't want to talk about this. And yeah, the double tweet in one tweet was so bizarre. It reminded me of when my friend, whose dad basically abandoned him, he turned 18 and his dad sent him a happy birthday email, and at the bottom said, remind your mom that I no longer have to pay child support. That's exactly what it reminded me of. He's like, you couldn't have sent that in a separate email? Yeah.
That's a horrible human being
not
right
send
there.
it at all.
Oh, yeah, exactly. How about just be a good dad? Yeah. There's that.
So we were talking about this about Von Miller too, because there's all this talk about them releasing Von Miller just because of the cap situation. I think with players that are that good, I think there is a lot of pride in being a franchise quarterback. You want to have been the Tom Brady of the Patriots, or although that's a bad example because he left, but the Ben Roethlisberger of Pittsburgh, because in the long term, there's a lot to that. So unless you're like J.J. Watt, where you just, you need a different experience, or you want to win a ring, I think most people do want to stick with one team. So I don't think he really wants to leave, but I think talk is cheap. So if you're going to say something to actually get the ball rolling and to make your team be like, oh, snap, he's serious, I think that's what it was. I think it was he wanted to strike the fear in the team, because like I said, it's not easy to find a franchise quarterback. If you have one, do not let them go. So that was my take on it. I would be shocked if he is not a Seahawk for the next 5 years. Maybe I'm being...
Neal, what are your thoughts on this?
So I think Lindsay was kind of right. That definitely is kind of striking the fear into him. Be like, hey, we need to fix this, otherwise. But I think I can't remember the exact stat, but I believe since Wilson has been in the league, he's the most sacked, most hit quarterback, something like that. Maybe
at
top
least
5.
top 3.
Yeah.
He's up there. Yeah,
I can't remember exactly, but so that's a long time. Like you said, only one time he had an offensive line with 10. So, I mean, again, to Lindsay's point, maybe he is at that point where he's like a JJ Watt. He's like, I'm sick of this. I need something else, though. I just think it's crazy that his agent even said that if he's trying to quell the fire.
Clearly, he's not trying to. I mean, that's
Right.
the thing. Like you said, send a separate text him.
Right.
There's one thing I want to say real quick before I forget. I think about Andrew Luck, where he never had an offensive line, ever. And he just got hit so much to the point that he was like, I'm done. This isn't worth it.
Screw it, I'm out.
I can't do this. And I look at someone like a Cam Newton, who used to be, one of the top quarterbacks. And I think we really underestimate certain injuries. I think we have this idea of like, oh, you get injured and then you come back and it's, next year you're fine. It's magically fixed. And that's obviously not the case. So I think Cam Newton is a very big example right now of what can happen if you do not protect your quarterback, because he's not the same guy he was even 2 years ago.
And I agree with you, but to be fair, a lot of that was Cam's doing because of his physical playing style.
Yeah.
But I agree with the overall point, which is that these quarterbacks take a beating.
Mm-hmm.
It made Andrew Luck, who would have been the Colts quarterback for the next 10 years and probably could have led them to a Super Bowl, to just flat out give up on football.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead, Neal, and then Will's waiting patiently.
I mean, it's a little different, but I have experience with RG3. I mean, that one season he looked like all that haul they gave to the Rams was worth it, and then that terrible injury and everything, and now it's terrible. Yeah, now that's one of the worst trades, honestly. But yeah, go ahead.
I think that's that's the thing though with the modern NFL era quarterback, right? Is like you need to think about it differently, because like God forbid something actually happens to Patrick Mahomes, right? And he actually gets a bad leg injury or something. Like he's not going to be.
The Bucs certainly tried in that Super Bowl.
That was
hey, easy.
I never root.
Easy.
I'm just kidding.
Listen,
I would never. I broke
she's
my
a Broncos
collarbone.
fan.
I broke
You
my
can hold her-
collarbone playing football, and it changed the way I view injuries forever. So I never will root for someone to get injured. I'm just saying, if it happened.
She won't shed a tear.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, is like if you have these quarterbacks that are, look at we talk about Brady, but Manning. Let's use Manning as an example, right? These statues in the pocket, like it's not as bad with them because they just get the ball, they get it out. You know what I mean? Like obviously you don't want them to get hurt either.
They also had, and both Brady and Manning, they were so good at pocket movements. They didn't have to scramble. They could just move like 2 inches, and then the rusher goes right behind them. There is an art to that.
Yeah. But to that point, also, Manning had that terrible neck injury, and that could have been one of those that changed him. But
it did change him. That's what sent him to Denver. Indianapolis would not have given up on him if it weren't for that neck injury.
But the thing is, like, when Russ was cooking, like, the Chef Russ thing, right? Like, when they were letting him play his game earlier this year, I mean, the Seahawks were on fire. And then they just neutered him. And that's like I don't know if that's a Pete Carroll thing or what that is. But they just have this philosophy that they're,
They fired the offensive coordinator, too.
Sure.
Brian Schottenheimer.
But, like, I don't know why they do that to him. I mean, like, DK Metcalf is a force. Tyler Lockett is more of like I don't think Tyler Lockett is an actual, like, thing, like, in fantasy. But
he had some monster games, like 3 touchdown games.
Yeah, one. And then like anyway,
he's consistently like a top 15.
But my point is that like Russ has weapons.
So you're wrong,
and it's just he can't like they don't let him play they don't let him do his thing. They just kind of play a different game with him.
I agree, and so I think everybody is right. And there's 2 things here. One, that they don't protect him. They do not invest in the offensive line. It's just not something the Seahawks do. Or they've tried to draft some linemen, but they just keep whiffing. So whatever they're doing from a scouting perspective hasn't working. He wants better protection, and he wants more of a say in the offense itself, because the old Seahawks way of like pounding, back when Marshawn Lynch was there, let's run the ball 30 times a game and let Russ throw it a few times. That doesn't work as much in the modern NFL.
Except at the very end of the game where you don't hand the ball.
Except when you're playing the Patriots and yada yada, Malcolm Butler, Brady wins, woohoo. But I completely agree with Lindsay in that I think this is posturing. Don't get me wrong. If one of these teams throws some king's ransom at Seattle and they trade him on, I think he would consider one of those teams. But I think this is like, hey guys, and Neal mentioned this, I'm serious. Like, do this. player empowerment, what you've seen recently in the NFL, what the NBA already has, is these players taking more control when they can from the owners. So this is Russell Wilson saying, I want to win a Super Bowl, but here's what I need. I need a better offensive line. I need a better offensive system. I want to say in the future of this organization. If not, then I'm going to have my agent throw out cryptic text and see if I can get an offer somewhere else.
Yeah.
When you look at all those teams that they mentioned too, and they all have good, if not great, offensive lines.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that.
Like,
Yep,
and
that's
as a Washington football team fan, if he goes to the Cowboys, I will murder someone. Like that would be
if he goes
the
to the
worst
Raiders.
thing.
I was going to say, if he goes to the Raiders.
That's true, but like they still have. I mean, they put up points. They still have a good offensive line over there. Their defense is a little, but yeah, like even the Bears. I mean, their team was pretty good this year, even with the Mitchell Trubisky, and then you throw Russell Wilson. I mean. Yeah. Like Brian said, if you throw a King's Ransom over there, I think they're definitely going to consider it.
Yeah, and I was laughing because I saw on Twitter somebody was saying, how about the Seahawks just let Russell Wilson call the plays, right? Because like you mentioned, they fired the offensive coordinators. And I took a screenshot of an article. The last game of the season, he did call his own plays. Do you remember when he got the ball to David Moore? He was supposed to take a knee.
He was, yes.
He's
That
like, I'm
wasn't-
gonna
But
give him
because Moore, he got a bonus. Moore got a bonus
if Moore
if he hit a certain stat.
Correct.
Yeah.
If he got one more catch, so he's already doing his own thing. It was funny to watch Pete Carroll's face when he was like, "Wait, what happened?" But it was just, of course, like,
Yeah.
he has a lot of control. That was the whole point. And he should. And the difference too, you mentioned the NBA. The thing is they do have more control, yes, but also it's not as taxing on their bodies. You know, people complain that these football players, you know, they want what they want. It's their bodies being hit. If they think that they're putting themselves in danger, then absolutely they should make that.
I agree. I didn't
I
think he should do it. Yeah. Yeah, no, this is, I completely agree that you see what happened recently with Vincent Jackson. And here's a fun little plug. So I was on a Zoom call on Friday. This is a quick plug for the GoLongTD.com. It's a newsletter, but he has a weekly happy hour. I was on a Zoom call Friday with Ryan Leaf and Steve Tasker, which was awesome. But Leaf obviously has had some mental health issues, and he spoke about it openly, and he talked about how he wants to help players become more empowered. So I'm all about that. I think the owners have too much control. And these guys, you're right, Lindsay, this is a physical sport. These people, they get CTE, they get brain damage. It affects them for the rest of their lives. So they need to do what they can to not only get paid now, but be in a situation that suits them and the future of their life better. I'm going to ask one more question, then we're going to move on. Lindsay, because yes, Neal, if he went to Dallas, sure, it would be bad, but there's still, you're facing Danny Dimes and Jalen Hurts maybe. If he went to Oakland, if he went, I always do that.
I'm going to do it.
It's so hard. It's going to be years.
Yeah.
Football team, I have no problem saying, but Oakland, Vegas. But if he went to the Raiders, and then you had to, the Broncos had to go up against Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, and Justin Herbert. Jeez.
That would be rough.
That would be awful. So that's the last.
I was just going to say, that's though why I don't think he'd actually go to the Raiders. And that's apprehension I have about Deshaun Watson going to Denver. Like, you don't want to face Mahomes twice a season. You don't want to automatically probably be hoping to get a wild card spot at best. I think it's all talk because if you're like you mentioned, he really, really wants to win a Super Bowl. He's not going to be in the same division as Mahomes. Yes, people always say, well, you know, in the other division, it's, you know, Murray and Drew Brees. I'm like, that's different. It's like this is the new Tom Brady division. You don't want to be in that division.
Yeah. I'll say one more thing. I do think that this year he's a Seahawk in 2021. Now, if 2021 goes the way 2020 did, and he's just getting beat up, I think it's an entirely more realistic scenario before the 2022 season. Since we've been talking about quarterbacks, I want to use that to segue into, we are going to drop, by the time this airs on Wednesday, we will have dropped a top free agent quarterback article. Yes, we have articles now on the pigskinpartypodcast.com. We have in our blog section, you will find articles written by Ross Crawford, who is our PPP writer. So cool, we have a writer.
Yeah,
so he's going to drop.
For you.
Thank you. So he's going to drop a free agent quarterback piece. So I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about some of the top free agent quarterbacks, and you guys can feel free to throw in your own names. So I want to just do a quick run through the names, and we can talk about potential destinations. Should they stay with their current team? I'm going to start with the one who I don't think will hit the free market, but is the most intriguing, and that's Dak Prescott. So, Will, I'll start with you on this one. So the Cowboys have tagged him previously, but then he suffered that bad injury. All reports are that he's coming along nicely in his recovery. Do you think Dak is tagged again? Do you think they sign him long term? Jerry Jones has said he wants to get a long term deal signed. What do you think Dak's future is?
I think he's a Cowboy. In Kid Rock fashion, I think he wants to be a Cowboy, and they want him. The Cowboys need Dak Prescott. Let's be honest. Like, that team was just like hot dog biscuits, like, without Dak Prescott. And like, the problem is that the Dak wants like money. You know what I mean? And like, when you look at some of these deals that are getting done, I think it was like, what was the number? Like $30 million, and he wanted maybe north of that.
I think he was asking 35 to 40 now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's where the market is now. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, that's the thing is, like, yes, you can want that. You just got hurt. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Like, here's my take, right? I don't think Dak is like elite NFL quarterback material, but he's certainly good. So like, and the Cowboys need him. Jerry Jones needs to get over it, pay the dude his money. You know what I mean? Do less years. You don't have to sign a dude to a 5-year deal with all of it guaranteed, but pay Dak Prescott his money. Like, he deserves it. Like, you are not. Jerry Jones doesn't have many years left, man. That dude is on borrowed time. He's like the Keith Richards of the NFL. Like, he should have been dead a long time ago. Somehow he's still around.
Keeps on rocking.
But like, that's the thing. But like, you know what I mean? It's one of those deals where just pay him, because your franchise is going to be utterly useless without him. Zeke, look what happened to Zeke after Dak was gone, and they were using the Red Rocket, and who was that dude that got put out there, and he was like Dinarino or Dinatelli?
Oh,
DiVincenzo. No, that's an NBA player.
It was an Italian name. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
I don't even know his name.
Pinocchio. They put him out. He got murdered. It was Dino something. He got straight murdered. So they have to run that offense through Dak. So that's my take. Mm-hmm. Pay the man.
Well, and to your point that you bring up, that he's probably going to ask for the same 35, 40 million. Yeah,
DiNucci, yeah.
From JMU.
DiNucci. Yeah.
From JMU, shout out. He's going to probably ask for the same amount that he was asking last year, which is probably 30, 40, maybe 42, I was hearing some rumors about. And he's coming off an injury, and I don't think Jerry Jones is going to want to pay somebody who's coming off an injury $42 million a year. So I don't know if there's going to be even more stalemate this year, more than there was last year. I don't know. I don't know if Dak's going to be willing to take less, if Jerry Jones is going to, like Will said, just finally shovel out the money. I just don't know. But I think to Will's point, they should re-sign Dak, yes.
Lindsay, you have a Dak take?
So I think he's definitely a Cowboy. I think... And I mean, this has always been apparent, but maybe it's just becoming more apparent as I've gotten, paid more and more attention to football. But I think these last couple of years has become very apparent how important a long-term good quarterback is. You have teams like the Broncos that just cannot. Joe Flacco, Case Keenum, what a mess.
Once again, the Dolphins. For
I know. Well, that's
decades.
What I'm saying. And
yeah.
I'm sure had an option been. You look at, for example, the Colts. They were not, even with the neck injury, if they didn't have the Andrew Luck, guaranteed, I mean, I guess
waiting
it's
in the
never
wings,
guaranteed.
yeah.
Exactly. They're not dropping him. They don't have that option with Dak Prescott. They don't have a first overall pick. He's really all they've got. So I think you're right, Will. I think they'll sign him. It won't be 5 years fully guaranteed. I'm thinking maybe like 3 years. But I think he's definitely a Cowboy, and I think he has more leverage than Jerry Jones does.
That mentality, though, causes you to go Jaguars and sign somebody like freaking
Nick Foles.
Way too much money, and sit
absolutely.
him for Gardner Minshew. Like, that's
Do you remember? freaking Matt Stafford at one time had the highest contract of all time. And it just got more and bigger and bigger.
Every year, it's whoever the quarterback is.
That's why,
Taylor Heineke's going to reset the market in
but
2 years.
That's why you pay Patrick Mahomes $500 million. You've got your guy. And that's also why this Deshaun Watson Texans thing is absolutely mind-blowing. Like, there is your franchise. Go get him. You know what I mean? Like, that. There's nothing more clear in the NFL that Deshaun Watson is your franchise quarterback. Like, I don't know how you take short things like that. You know what I mean? Like,
couldn't agree more. We have gone down that Deshaun rabbit hole so many times that we will again. But I am going to stop you because I want to keep it rolling. Let's go through some of these other quarterbacks. We don't have to spend as much time on some of the rest of these. That's just Dak, obviously, is an important name. I agree with all of you. I don't think they tag him. I think they sign him to a long-term deal. I think 3 years sounds reasonable. I don't think it's going to be some 7-year thing.
Can I pose something real quick, though? Do you think a Kirk Cousins situation might happen where they just keep – I mean, if they can't get a deal done, they sign him. They keep tagging him. I could also see that happening, but
see, especially after having an injury the way he suffered, and just reminds them how mortal and how short a time they have to capitalize. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure Dak will sign that if they don't give him some sort of deal, knowing what he went through, and all it could take is one bad injury, one Alex Smith type thing. There's a little tease for our football talk discussion, football team talk. It's from your career being over, so you got to get paid now. You got to get that long-term contract now. So could they try the Cousins thing? Sure, but Jerry Jones has said he wants to sign him. We'll take Jerry's word for it. I do think he gets signed to some sort of contract. Let's talk about who replaced him for most of the season this year, not withstanding Ben DiNucci. Andy Dalton. Just really quick around the room, and I'll start with you, Neal. Is Andy Dalton on an NFL team next year?
I think he is, and I think at least as a backup, he got to be. I mean, that's a nice backup. Now, I think, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you listen to Around the NFL podcast?
It is my yes, it's my favorite podcast.
Yes, that's what I thought. Yeah. So, don't they have the Andy Dalton gauge every year, right?
The Dalton scale.
The Dalton scale. Thank you. Yes, which is pretty much like he is the epitome of a mediocre quarterback, which is not a bad thing. And so I think he's. They have said recently that they need to reset the scale because they think he's below average now. But yes, for years it was like if your quarterback was better than Andy Dalton, you were in good shape. If your quarterback was worse than Andy Dalton, you needed a new quarterback.
So I would like to know who is the middleman average quarterback of the NFL right now. Like if you had to pick one, what's that barometer?
I kind of think it's like Derek Carr now.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes,
Derek Carr.
That is a good one.
Maybe
like
Kirk
you put him. Kirk Cousins maybe. You put him behind a good offensive line. He's going to get you some nice yards and everything, and you put good talent around.
I would put Cousins slightly ahead of Carr. I really like Carr as the new, let's call it Dalton scale, as that kind of like he can win some games, but he's and he can lose some games, but he's not the worst quarterback out there, and certainly he's not the best. Right. So yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, let's we're all in agreement. Derek Carr.
I think we need to rank all 32 quarterbacks in order at some point.
We don't need to do that.
I think no. At some point, not now. At some point,
no, we don't ever need to do that.
I'm actually kind of low on Carr, to be honest. Like I'm not as that high. Yeah, on Derek.
Yeah, but so I know who you would put at 32.
So you think he's not the mediocre standard then?
I think he's a little bit lower than that.
Okay.
Okay. Something to consider. You know what, Will? I'm going to give you some. Why don't you come up with the 1 through 32, and we'll mention it next week because I'm sure there'll be some quarterback news. And free agency is coming up, and it officially starts. The league year starts March 17th. Mm-hmm. So let's keep it moving. Cam Newton is a free agent. He threw a total of 8 touchdowns for the Patriots
he'll
this
be a
year.
Patriot. Bill Belichick loves Cam Newton.
Really? All right, Will, we'll start with you then.
I think here's the thing. What else are the Patriots gonna do? There's that.
Draft a quarterback.
Yes, yeah, sure. But Jared Stidham is not the truth, right? Like we knew that. Hopefully the Patriots
trade for Jimmy G.
Maybe, but I mean, hopefully they don't go with Mac Jones. I mean, we'll to be seen. But like all accounts are that Bill Belichick loves Cam Newton. And like what?
I said, which is wild.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but just based on, you look at Tom Brady's I guess attitude and work ethic.
That's not fair.
I like Cam Newton. No. I like Cam Newton I love what he stands for. I love what he does with kids. I'm just saying that
he used to be a good NFL quarterback.
Yeah, but I'm talking about his eclectic personality. I just don't see
cool.
Bill Belichick being like, yeah, dude.
No.
Yeah,
I'm gonna agree with Lindsay. I think it's all talk. I think it's posturing. Maybe they're trying to posture in the draft. I don't know.
I mean, the running back situation in New England is a mess. The wide receiver situation in New England is a mess. Who knows what Julian Edelman is going to be like? They had a lot of their good defensive players opted out. I don't think,
and they're coming back, so their defense should be better. But yes, the offense is. I don't think
that was a very good barometer for Cam Newton. When you look at 32 NFL quarterbacks, and Newton said this on a. By the way, if you've never listened to the I Am Athlete podcast with Brandon Marshall and Fred Taylor,
I love him.
It's a which one?
Can't imagine why. The Bronco.
Brandon
Marshall.
But I like his whole mental health stuff. I think I love he really got that conversation started.
He did. While he was still a player, he was open about his I think it was bipolar depression.
No, it was borderline personality disorder.
Borderline personality, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to end that.
Wait, listen. What I'm saying is that he went on there and he was talking and he's like, they're like, well, where do you think you're at? And Cam Newton's like, I don't know, but I'm not 32. And they're like, no. Do you think that you're top 5, top 10? And he's like, I ain't 32. Right? And
so he's better than Drew Lock.
Hey!
Yeah,
I knew that's where this was going.
I think I'm better than Drew Lock. Let's be honest. Anyway, I think Ryan Jensen, the center for the ginger 300-pound center for the Bucks, would be better than Drew Lock. But that's the thing is Cam Newton is not. I don't think this was a good barometer for Cam Newton post the Panthers. I think we need to see him with some decent, a decent year that's not crazy with COVID. COVID hurt Cam Newton, man. He said, he came back and he was just. Make. That does stuff to your respiratory, your cardio. Who knows the long-term effects of COVID? And I know that's not what we're talking about on here, but I just don't. I think he's a Patriot. If I had to put money on it, I would say he's a Patriot next year.
Well, so you mentioned him actually getting COVID. Also, think about the offseason. So he had a brand new team, all brand new coaches, all brand new wide receivers to work with, and he didn't get a training camp. He didn't get. Time to work with these guys. So that's my defense.
So did Justin Herbert, and he set rookie records.
Absolutely, but I'm just saying that is a factor. We can't act like that's nothing.
Agreed.
And I think if he's not with the Patriots, unless he's willing to take a backup job, which he's kind of said he's not ready for that. He doesn't think of himself as a backup, right? Unless he's willing to take one, I don't see him on an NFL team unless it's the Patriots.
What about Philadelphia?
You think they would take a chance over Hurts right now?
Bring it to compete. If you get Cam on a 1-year prove-it deal in an offense that they were already kind of working around a running quarterback. See, he didn't fit in that New England offense. Josh McDaniels, he's a great offensive coach, but that offense is not built for Cam. Where at Philadelphia, they're already going to have to structure their offense around a running quarterback. Why not bring in a veteran running quarterback, have them compete? Maybe Cam starts off starting. Maybe he can teach Jalen a thing or two. Saves them maybe from having to use that number 6 pick on a quarterback. There's also different ways they can do. I don't see him in New England. I think anything that Belichick is putting out there is crap. And it's just he doesn't care about. He likes to throw the media off. He cares. He hates the media.
I actually really like that Eagles. I don't think anyone's signing him as the backup. I think they're signing him as the competition to who they currently have signed.
But that's kind of my point, though, is who's going to take a flyer on him after the season he had?
How much didn't he have the veterans minimum last season, or how much was he paid?
Yeah, if he's willing to do that, but I think in his mind he's coming in there to be the starter, right?
Houston. It just hit me. Deshaun's out. Bring in another running. Bring it. Houston and Philly. They're the two biggest messes in the NFL right now from an organizational standpoint.
Absolutely. And thinking about Andy Dalton. Okay, so let's say you want to sign a veteran to compete with your guy. Cam Newton's ceiling is higher. If you're going to take a chance on one of them, you might as well take a chance on the guy who has the higher ceiling.
Dalton's not winning you any games because he's Andy Dalton. Cam can at least win you. He can bulldoze a goal line rush and win you a game.
I mean, Andy Dalton is the Red Rocket, bro. I think, right? Isn't that his nickname?
The quarterback formerly known as. All right, let's keep it moving. I don't want to stick on this too long.
My nickname in college was the Red Rocket.
I thought it was the sack getter.
Yeah.
See, you're giving us conflicting information here. Pick
like
a lane. Let's run through 2 more quarterbacks, and then we are going to get to that football team breakdown if Neal is not choking over there. So 2 more quarterbacks. 1, Jameis Winston. Who reports have said that he's interested in exploring other options besides the Saints. Lindsay, I'll start with you on this one.
I would love him to come to Denver. I think, I mean, it's not like my dream scenario, but compared to some of the other veterans, I would absolutely, because yes, he throws a lot of interceptions, but he also throws for a lot of yards. And we have
and with those weapons, he would throw some touchdowns.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. He would have at least 30 touchdowns.
And didn't he get LASIK too? And we didn't really see him last year.
I spaced out a second. Are we talking about Jameis or Fitz?
Jameis. We're not.
Jameis.
Fitz is a surprise. That's the last one. Way to read the notes and spoil it for the listeners.
I didn't listen for a second, but you said his give a F factor is really low, and he just throws the ball downfield. You just described both of them.
And Fitz is like, you're right, and Fitz is like that too. They're YOLO quarterbacks who both happen to play for the Bucks. Yeah. But no. So do we take real quick? Go around. I'll start with you, Neal. Do you think Jameis is on the Saints or anthe team? And if there's another team, where would you put him?
Ooh, so yeah, I think another team. I think actually the Broncos. I do kind of like that one. Off the top of my head, who needs them? I mean, a spoiler for later, but I don't think the Washington football team should take a flyer on him. I'll kind of explain that a little later. I do. I don't think he'll be on the Saints because either way, if Russell Wilson's on the Saints or if Drew Brees is on the Saints, I think Winston wants to be a starter now. I think he's fine.
Taysom Hill is still there.
Exactly.
Taysom,
exactly.
Lindsay, what are your thoughts, Jameis?
It's so hard. Like I cannot remember an offseason like this where there's so many starting quarterbacks where we're questioning where they're going to be. So it
used to be you couldn't find enough quarterbacks. Exactly. Now you have too many quarterbacks.
Exactly. So it's hard for me to predict. I think quickly, I don't know. My gut says he stays on the Saints, but I would love. I didn't think about it until now. I would love him in Denver. I originally
said. What about the Patriots?
Ooh, that's another good one.
Don't put that out in the universe. I don't know.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Actually, no. If he played the Dolphins, the Dolphins defense would probably intercept him like 5 times. So I think
there you go.
Okay with that.
So my guess is I think he stays, but I would love for him to be signed to Denver. Now I have a topic for my show this week. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's what we're here for, to help the Broncos Brawl podcast.
You don't just talk about Trevor Siemian all day, every day?
I'm allowed
it's
one
really the Trevor
Siemian
Siemian pod.
Yeah.
What?
I'll say this. I agree. I think Jameis is on the Saints. I'm sorry. The smart thing is for him to stay on the Saints. He's smart, may not necessarily go with Jameis, but stay on the Sean Payton offense and that organization. But if there's a team, I got to kind of say I like Denver. John Elway loves this physical, strong-armed quarterbacks. Technically, yes, but I think Elway is still – that's his team. Oh, he's still – he gave himself a promotion. Yeah, George Payton's coming in, but this is Elway's organization.
Come on.
He can't go to Denver. They don't have crabs in Denver. Well, he could never go there.
Ha, ha, ha. Okay.
He can't
but
eat
they do
a
have
W in Denver.
But they do have Uber drivers. I probably should have said that. Okay, last one we will mention is, as Will unfortunately skipped ahead to, is Fitzmagic. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a free agent. As much as I would love for him to stay in Miami as the backup of Tua, it's not going to happen. He wants to start. We've seen that he still has the ability to start. There's lots of teams out there that want Fitz to come in and be their starting quarterback. So, Will, I'll start with you on this one. We'll quickly go around and then we'll get to Washington.
Most underrated quarterback since this is not really a long since Josh McCown, who is also really good and underrated. Ryan
just got let go by the Texans
and
today, but he's going to be a coach.
Career.
Yeah,
they're just like bouncing from team to team to team.
Fitzpatrick is so underappreciated in the NFL. Like, talk about, like, number one, you mentioned selling tickets, right? What a fun bastard to watch. He just gets out there and he's like, whatever, and he just lets it fly. And
whether he's looking at his receiver or his head is facing 180 degrees the other direction, he doesn't care.
Devontae Parker owes that man his life because he revitalized Devontae Parker's entire being as an NFL receiver. Like dude, Denver. Put it this way: you asked me who my favorite NFL team is. I don't really have one. I like players. I'm a huge Ryan Fitzpatrick fan. So, like, if he went to Denver, I would watch a lot of Broncos games. I also like Jerry Jeudy. Just talking about players that I like. Any team would be lucky to have him. He's not that expensive. You don't have to sign him for $30-40 million. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I don't know where he goes, but
he might want $30 million. He's got 8 kids to pay for.
Listen, when you have a beard like that, you're just gonna make babies. Like people just want a piece.
I can't. Right? I mean, I can't. It's Fitzmagic. I might have a baby with Fitzmagic.
Lindsay, do you find
so? No, I hate
facial
amazing?
Hair.
I love his whole shtick and everything about him, but personally, I don't find beards attractive. I want to say though, you're saying that Parker Parker owes Fitzpatrick. No, Adam Gase just deserves to go away forever. You know how many players whose careers he had destroyed?
I've said it multiple times.
Killing Sam Darnold right now.
Yeah. I'm not going to give Gase any more airtime because I 100% agree with you.
So I guess
we're not going to talk about Gase.
I'll
go angry Brian if we talk about Gase any longer.
Real quick, on my podcast, we call him Fuhrer Gase.
Except he doesn't have any actual power. He's not good at anything.
Here's the thing.
Well, on the Jets,
he's like the guy. He's like, I know Peyton Manning. I talked to him one time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give you multiple head coaching jobs.
When you're a head coach,
he should pay Peyton Manning like $10 million. Like he owes him.
He really
when
does.
you get hired as a head coach, I think head coach hirings need to be contingent on your first press conference. Like if you get into your first press conference and you just do this, and you're just like staring at like imaginary butterflies the whole time, like on drugs, what is wrong with you? Like they should be like, nope.
They should have fired him on this.
This ain't gonna work out. And like, who is it? Sirianni gets in his press. He's like, see, the thing about offenses is we got to do the simple stuff that's also smart. So that the smart people can be simple. Like, what are you talking? Like, okay,
we've got plans and procedures, and
it's got to be more like Motor City.
We're gonna be so smart that we're simple.
Biting off kneecaps. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So the last thing I'll say about Fitz is, if nothing else, because he's not going to be on Miami next year, I will always remember him for beating New England in Week 17, knocking the Patriots off the number 1 seed, putting the Chiefs there and letting the Chiefs change the trajectory of the playoffs and therefore the NFL season of 2019. Fitz, you'll always have a special place in my heart in Miami. So without further ado, let's finally go ahead and talk about the team that we're spotlighting this week, and that is the Washington football team. First, before I get into it, Neal, is there any chance that they just keep the name football team and don't try to pick an actual mascot? Because we all want that.
I think there's a huge chance, and everybody except for me wants that. No,
really?
Everybody but Washington fans want that.
So let's start with that first before we actually talk about the season. Why do you not want your football team to be called the football team? It's glorious.
It's too on the nose. I don't like it.
That's what makes it so good.
It's a joke, but the thing is, I said this on my podcast. It's like they're going to disappoint me with whatever name they choose. Yeah. So just choose it and rip the Band-Aid off. I'll get over it. I'm buying the merch, right? So just
do you have a favorite? Do you have like a Red Wings or Red Tails?
I do like the Red Wolves. I know that's a controversial one. The Red Tails
is Red Wolves controversial?
Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of people controversial, meaning I feel like a lot of people love it or hate it because it's some people are like, oh, there are no Red Wolves there. It's childish, all that stuff.
It should be called the Washington Trumps. The trumpets.
We just can't escape the politics. We cannot escape the politics.
Exactly. Here's the thing, though. The logo sucks. It's a circle. Like, you could do so many creative things with the football team, right? Like, you could have just, I don't know, a pile of dudes like in the shape of a football. You could have a lot of things. You could be creative.
Where are you going with that one?
It's
an orgy going on.
Team.
I'm like implying things. Lindsay's like, I'm going to say it.
It's a football team. It's a football made of dudes. I don't know.
I would actually prefer, and I'm curious to see what you guys think, the football club. I like that a
FC.
little better.
Okay.
FC.
All right.
No, that
I like
is
that.
so
I know it's more
soccer.
soccer,
I
but
could
it's
be down
less
with
on
that.
the nose. It's less
Yeah.
on the nose.
It's less
The Washington
good.
Football Club, I could be down with
It's
that. All right,
less
so
good.
let's talk about the actual season now that we're on the actual name. So first I want to start, Neal, with what are your thoughts on the 2020 season as a whole for Washington?
I thought it was a roller coaster ride, and I was here for it. Like the beginning of the season, I'm like, yeah, we suck. Let's tank. Let's get a good QB. Okay, that's fine. And then all of a sudden, the defense starts playing
You got
great, and
expectations.
somehow, yeah, exactly. Somehow this offense got dragged along, and we made it 7-9. Somehow made it into the playoffs. Taylor Heineke made a performance of his lifetime. And he got signed this offseason.
Yeah, he did.
Like I said, it's kind of up and down, or down and then up. But it was pleasantly surprising, for sure. It's good to see them win a few games.
Down and then up is like Dwayne Haskins in a strip club.
Exactly.
That's like the booties that are in his face. They go down and then they go up, and then his wallet balance goes down. Listen, here's the thing. What's so funny about the NFL is that like Lindsay's like passively offended. She's just like staring off.
It's just like so cringy that he was too stupid to realize
in a COVID environment.
No. Okay,
with no mask.
No mask. You played like garbage, so you're not really on like you don't really
That's a
have
good reason to
platform
go.
to make these huge mistakes. Like,
Listen,
you should be trying.
Right.
It's like if Drew Lock was out at a strip club. Like I'd be like,
After his 4 interception game or
Listen,
something like
Listen, here's what's crazy thing about the NFL is like you can be a football team fan, and I just moved from Richmond, Virginia, where I lived for 10 years. So like all of my coworkers, you mentioned JMU. I went to VCU.
Go Rams.
Yeah, well, I don't really claim them because it was my master's degree, and that doesn't really matter. So go Gators. Listen, but what I'm saying is it's weird. You can be a fan of a team that is just absolute garbage. Like look at the Browns, right? But like Browns fans in the playoffs are like, damn right we should be here and we should beat the Chiefs. Like no, like you know what I mean? But like all of a sudden you get like these feelings, and that was how the whole world was on the side of the football team this year. Like the whole world wanted them to be in there over everybody else. In that
and when they beat the Steelers, I think that was like kind of the stamp that was like, yeah, maybe they're kind of good.
that defense is good. That is a top 5 defense.
It's an Alabama
for sure.
defense. It's just the entire
it literally is.
Nick Saban defense.
All number 1 picks. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, 2020 season was it. I love that they were in the playoffs, and I cannot rave about Taylor Heineke, that performance enough. So that was a fun way to end the season, honestly.
The only thing, because I was also a Washington fan, the only disappointment I had is that a 6-10 team didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
There was just something about the chaos of a 6-10 team making the NFC playoffs that was juicy. But I'm glad that Washington made it in. So now let's talk about the future. So let's talk about the draft first. What kind of positions would you like to see them address early in the draft? Do you think they should go quarterback? What are you thinking?
Defensive line. They're number 1 pick.
Add like a 6th number 1 pick.
Another D tackle. No, they're at a weird spot because they won so many games.
Right.
They're at number 19 now.
Yeah.
And it's like we need a quarterback, obviously. That's number 1. But if you're not sold at somebody, because Wilson's going to be gone, obviously Lawrence is going to be gone, Fields is going to be gone, Lance is probably going to be gone, Trask might be gone.
You think Trask will be gone by 19?
Maybe.
Trask will be there.
Trask will be there.
So will Mac Jones.
But even then, if you're not,
I think Mac Jones will be gone by 19.
If you're Ron Rivera and you don't like any of those QBs, then which I don't think any of them he will love, and I don't really love anybody that's going to be there, like to be the future of the franchise. I think you go either probably a linebacker or a left tackle, or as long as you re-sign Brandon Sheriff, or if you don't re-sign Brandon Sheriff, maybe a guard, or a wide receiver probably is number 1, honestly, non-QB wide receiver. Because
talk about how good Terry McLaurin is, though. Good God,
he's scary. Terry is nice, and he needs some help out there, though.
I know. I was looking at the stats. I was like, because I wanted to, I wasn't like a Washington football expert, so I was looking at him before the season. I'm like, there's literally no one else worth talking about.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the awesome. Crazy thing about him is he's their number 1. Everyone knows he's their number 1. They cover him like that. He still eats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous.
He was setting rookie records and stuff this year. Yeah.
And he
Or
had
last
Kyle
year.
Allen and Dwayne Haskins and a 36-year-old 17 surgery Alex Smith throwing to him.
Yeah. Who we didn't mention, there was a report
Yes.
that came out today that he was probably going to get cut.
Yeah, he's
Alex
going to get
Smith?
cut. I was going to mention that. Yes, Alex Smith is.
Yeah, on his knee
he-
for like his 46th surgery.
I know.
That's where he's gonna get
I
cut.
want him to retire. I'm so
That's
scared.
me.
Yeah.
He came back. We got to give kudos. Comeback player of the year. He's like it was a shoe in the second he walked on the football
Yeah.
field.
I know
Practice.
I know where this is kind of a divergence, but like, Ben Roethlisberger got one vote.
Will derailing the conversation?
No, Ben
never.
Roethlisberger got one vote for comeback player of the year, and like there was people that were like arguing that like that was a legit vote.
Some people got mad that it wasn't unanimous for Alex Smith. I was like, who cares? Like, I don't know.
He still
That was
got
weird.
it. He got it.
Yeah.
I
exactly.
I think that for Alex Smith, that would be him. He should retire. Like, I think that is the way to go. You made your comeback. You
Yeah.
got your award. You played decent. There's really no like he
I mean, he
almost
can't
died.
run.
Like we don't
He can't.
emphasize that enough. He almost died.
Right,
Like I
it's true.
don't see what he has to gain by continuing to play.
Nothing.
I really
I
don't.
agree.
It's insane.
He can't
to me.
move.
If I
He
was
Proved
mean,
his
everybody
wife-
wrong.
If you notice him out there, like he takes the snap. I mean, he kind of walks backwards. It's not even really like a legit 3-step drop. And then like any pressure,
It's a 3-step drag.
He's
that
just
one
done.
foot.
He's just like nope. And like I don't blame him, but that's not
Yeah.
your future. I mean, and even with that, I mean, he was infinitely better than Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah.
Well-
And what we talked about
Well-
earlier about these players that, like a Peyton Manning who knew, okay, I got to go. Like, my body is falling apart. This has long-term ramifications. All he needs to do is get hit again, and maybe he never walks again. Like, it is time.
Yeah.
It is
And it
time.
doesn't even have to be as bad of a hit
No.
this time. It really doesn't.
And the reports that I've seen is that he actually does want to compete, and I don't think he's going to be able to compete anywhere. If Cam Newton, we're talking about where's he going to fit, then Alex Smith isn't going to fit anywhere,
I don't
right?
want to see a death on the football field. I don't.
So
want to see
let's keep this on the quarterback conversation because I do think Alex Smith will retire. It's unfortunate that they'll cut him, but hey, just the fact that he came back, like Lindsay said, kudos to you, guy. But let's talk about quarterback. So Neal, you're right. They're picking at 19. They're not really going to have a great shot. Do you roll with Taylor Heineke all season? Do you want to bring in a free agent quarterback? What are your thoughts at the quarterback position?
I think, if obviously Watson is a huge long shot. I don't even know if we want him, mortgage our future that way.
I don't think he wants. I don't think Washington's on his list.
No, I don't think it is either. So the free agents, obviously Dak's probably getting franchised. I don't want to try Cam. Maybe Fitzmagic to compete with Heineke.
That
Maybe.
could be fun. That could be a fun
I
match.
don't know
Wait,
if you
sorry,
have
what
a-
did you
don't
just say?
have- Fitzmagic.
Fitzmagic
Okay.
to
Ryan
compete
Fitzpatrick.
with Heineke.
I don't
Yeah,
know if
I
you have a
actually really like
Fitzmagic offense though. Like, you know what I mean? You need
No,
You've
and
got,
that's-
but imagine what we just talked about McLaurin. Imagine what he can do
And then
with
if we
Fitz
draft-
getting him the
Sure.
football. And if you draft a
Draft another
playmaker,
wide receiver.
Correct.
Yeah, and then
J.D. McKissick, has shown to be a great receiving back. Antonio Gibson was a wide receiver and actually had a pretty good year as a running back.
Logan
He did have a
Thomas
really
had a
good-
great year.
Yeah, but
Shout out Logan Thomas,
You're not completely devoid of weapons, so you get another receiver in there.
Why is Lindsay
Lindsay
pointing
is
at me?
raising
Why
her
are you
hand.
pointing at me?
Yeah,
No, I'm pointing at me. So remember at the beginning of the show where I mentioned I had a story? It was about Logan
Yeah.
Thomas.
Let's hear
I'll
it.
make it quick.
Oh.
I'll make it quick because I think this is running longer than your usual shows. So I interned
that's
at
because it's a good show.
Yeah, I interned at an NFL agency around here, and like I mentioned, I can't remember if I mentioned it here or earlier, but when I interned was when, it was the Super Bowl, the Pro Bowl, this big charity event, and the draft. So for the charity event, the interns had to pick up players from the airport and take them to their hotel. Well,
I like where this story's
keep in
going.
mind, no, so I was 22.
What?
I was a very excited and hyper
Sack
person.
getter.
No. This isn't
getter.
on
Sorry.
that angle. So I picked up him and Chad Henne, and I later got, and their wives, and I later got told that there was a complaint against me. And I think it was Chad Henne who complained. It might have been Logan
You
Thomas.
said on your pod it was Chad Henne.
I'm fairly certain it is, but I never, Logan Thomas was in that car too, and both, I apologized to both wives, and they both claimed that.
Did you fart? What happened?
No, they just said I basically treated them like a fan, and I was talking about the Broncos and asking them all these questions, and they were like, No. But I apologize to both wives, and they both claimed that it wasn't their husbands that complained about me.
Did you know that, like, in the moment you were messing up, or were you just like...
I'm just an anxious, hyper person, and I was 22 and a moron. Like, nobody at that internship liked me. They all thought I was annoying. All of them. Like, I had to ask one of them for a reference recently, and I was like... You were the only one that liked me. Do you think you'd be willing to... Can I put you down as a reference? But so whenever I see Logan Thomas, I'm like, I hope it wasn't you. I really hope it wasn't you. I don't think it was, but there's still a part of me that thinks it might have been him who told on me.
Was this like a limo or like an
No, it was
armored
a
ICD?
Range Rover.
It was a party bus, actually.
How did you fit two NFL players and wives and you in a Range Rover?
I think it was a Range Rover. Maybe it was a van.
Range Rovers are big.
That's like a lot of
No, it was like a brand new Range Rover.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Bringing it back in. Bringing it back in.
Well,
Neal.
I did want to mention
it's a good story, but Neal.
Logan Thomas actually has an interesting football career. I'm a Virginia Tech fan. He actually got recruited to Virginia Tech as a tight end, then transitioned to a QB, was their QB for a while, got drafted as a QB to the Cardinals, I think, played for the Cardinals as a backup QB, and then he transitioned like 2 years ago to tight end again, and he actually had a great year this year.
Yeah, he did.
For all that considered.
I went to Florida State. I remember when Logan Thomas was the quarterback at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I just want to thank the Broncos for showing us what it's like to trot out an average dude as an NFL quarterback for a game.
Why do you don't need to keep digging at Lindsay, all right?
No,
We've said it multiple times.
Logan Thomas was what Tim Tebow should have been, but Tim Tebow's way too prideful. So you go, Logan Thomas. That just made me a bigger fan.
We just opened the...
It's like if you went to the movie theater and the guy selling you tickets to Avatar, you were like, do you feel like playing in an NFL game?
Lindsay, Will is a huge Tebow fan. I don't know if you know that.
Total loser. I think he's like
what? What is wrong with you? Listen,
her name may rhyme with Tebow, but Lindsay Bebout is not a Tebow.
I'll tell you off because I know this is running a little bit longer than Brian likes. I think he is a complete loser who needs to get over himself.
Why?
No, I'll tell you after. I don't want this show to go too long.
No. Listen, this show is about ramblings, and listen, Tim Tebow is a man of God, and he is a pure.
How about this? 2 seconds. I want to finish up the Washington segment, and then we will end with Lindsay's thoughts on Tim Tebow. So, Neal, thank you for waiting so patiently while we completely derail your Washington discussion. What are your thoughts on Ron Rivera after his first year?
I love him. I think coming into the season, I was excited for this whole culture change. I mean, some stuff came out, like the allegations against Dan Snyder that we were not expecting. I think he handled it well. He had cancer this year.
Not expecting.
Yeah, really.
Well,
Dan Snyder.
With Dan Snyder, anything's a go. But I think he handled it well, and therefore the culture change is evident there. I'm loving it. I think I'm excited for next year. Just to see how they play next year,
Yeah, I agree. I think I think the Eagles are a mess. I think the Giants definitely played as well as they could have under Joe Judge. Mm-hmm. We'll see where the Cowboys are with Dak, but I like Washington as potential repeat NFC East winners in 2021. So now let's give you some bonus content. We'll go ahead and wrap up, and this will kind of be like an after the credits type thing, like a post-credit MCU Marvel universe, but before the credits.
I just want to start off and say, first of all, I own this. His documentary, everything in between. I own this.
Wow.
So that's a Tim Tebow. For those listening, that's a Tim Tebow DVD documentary.
I keep forgetting that this isn't only on YouTube. Second of all, I dressed up as Tim Tebow's pregnant wife my senior year of high school. I showed up in a pregnancy suit and a Tim Tebow jersey.
Did someone bless the baby?
Wait a minute.
All my teachers were horrified.
Where did you grow up? In
Orange County.
In Florida?
I'm born and raised Orange County. No, Orange County, California.
California.
Tim Tebow. Why would you care about Tim Tebow living in Orange County, California?
What? No.
Broncos fan.
No, I'm saying I dressed up as him for Halloween because I was obsessed with him. I dressed up as his pregnant wife.
That's what I'm saying.
Obsessive Broncos fan. How do you not get that she likes the Broncos?
I guess my problem is when I think about Tim Tebow in high school, I'm old, right? So I'm like, why would you care living where he went to Florida? And I didn't put two and two together that we're talking about high school and Broncos.
I'm saying I dressed up as him my senior year of high school, and all my teachers were horrified that I came pretending to be his pregnant wife. Third of all, I once paid $100 to meet and take a photo with him. So for me to say what I'm saying, it has been a fall. So I'll run it quick because, like I said, I don't want to hog the mic. First of all, there's so many. I hate him so much. Okay. There's so many things.
Do you need a moment?
Okay, I'm just saying. I'm gonna
rank the top. Just rank the top like 2 or 3.
First of all, have you noticed he's not friends with anyone he was ever on a team with? Not one person has that.
To be
he's been on
fair,
a team with
40% of the 2008 Gators have been arrested.
I was gonna say maybe he doesn't want to be associated with that.
Nobody has ever spoken support for him. Nobody. That says a lot.
Urban
Second
Meyer
of
did.
all, yeah, Urban Meyer's a piece of crap. I hate Urban Meyer.
That doesn't say
I don't care
much.
about that.
That was a good.
I'm
going.
with you there.
Second of all, okay, first, he wasn't that good of a quarterback, right? Yet for some reason,
not in the NFL.
Thought he deserved to be a starting quarterback and was like, no, I don't want to play any position unless I'm the quarterback. So he goes and plays minor league baseball well into his 30s as a hobby.
Listen.
And this is when he ended it for me. This is when I lost any ounce of respect I still had for him. So he has this platform, right? He has a platform. He has a platform to do good in this world. How does he decide to use it? The guy who grew up rich is very rich right now and got a full ride scholarship to University of Florida. Decided to say, "Oh, college players don't deserve money. I didn't get money, and I had the highest selling jersey, and I don't think I should." Oh, so this super rich guy who can play minor league baseball as a hobby in his 30s, is speaking on behalf of kids, that are like 18, 19, that come from nothing, that are giving their bodies to play this sport as their only way into college, making these colleges millions of dollars. He really, that's what he's going to choose to use his platform for?
See,
after that moment, I lost every ounce of respect.
Yeah, but Lindsay,
ounce of respect for him.
Lindsay, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah,
the only
I don't like
legitimate
him.
criticism you can have of Tim Tebow is the fact that this year he voted for Mac Jones over Kyle Trask in the Heisman.
I don't watch college,
as a Gator.
I don't see what good is he doing for people other than
Lindsay, he prays before every game.
Exactly,
It makes him a good
And
guy.
after every touchdown.
Oh my God, I forgot. Oh my God, no, I forgot about the worst thing. Oh,
Okay,
I'm so glad I remembered this.
last point, go.
When there's a book about this. When he was on the Broncos.
What's the emoji for triggered? Sorry.
Yeah, no. When he was on the Broncos, John Elway's wife asked him and said, "Hey, I'm throwing this charity event. Can you come speak?" She was told he would not speak for less than $50,000.
Well, to be fair, he turned down $1 million on the Patriots for doing underwear ads because he wanted to be a team player, and that didn't work out so well for him. So I can understand.
$50,000 for charity. No. The guy who he had no business starting. Right. John
Your
Elway
hatred of Tim Tebow is ill-founded.
It's valid. Very valid.
Valid. I agree with Lindsay. Tim Tebow sucks. Okay, let's wrap it up. We do have a Flavor of the Week episode to get to. Yes, we ran a little bit over. I think the conversation was worth it, especially when we got to the trash and Tim Tebow part. So thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate you bringing that up. Okay.
I thought everyone felt this way.
You are canceled.
I recently learned that's not the case.
He just got married. He had a lot of pent-up anxiety for 30 years, okay?
Well, take it down. Your Tebow has been taken down a peg or two. Let's go ahead and wrap up the NFL episode, guys. Thank you for listening. If you made it all the way to the end, you got a little extra bonus content with Lindsay's slightly passionate opinion about former Broncos quarterback Tim Tebow. So thank you. As always, guys, please remember to tell your friends about the show. Check us out on YouTube if you're just listening, but keep downloading if you just want to listen to our podcast. That's great too. Check out our Patreon. We have some exclusive content there. You actually get the podcast early.
I'm a patron.
You'll hear. Yes, Lindsay is. Thank you. Yeah, so there you go. See? It's a real thing. People actually go on there.
I want you to know that your money went to purchase Brian's Tim Tebow jersey that I'm going to send him.
Oh, no, absolutely. I will reject at my door.
Money well spent.
All right. Check us out on Twitter at @OfficialPPPod. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're even on TikTok. Join the Discord community. The link for that and the Patreon will be in the episode description. Thanks for sticking around, guys, and make sure to stick around for the Flavor of the Week.
Bye.